Hello, I'm here to tell you that my channel is already monetized, and to celebrate this milestone I decided to do a Q&A and answer all of your questions that you sent in for this video. While answering these questions, I'll be also painting with gouache. I'll be doing an illustration that is going to be a little bit different from what I usually draw or paint. However, it's going to be an interesting experiment. So let's start the Q&A. First question I'll be answering is the only question I got on Instagram from my art friend Nadia, who's also a YouTuber. The question is, how does it feel to be monetized? Well, it definitely has taken some amount of stress off my shoulders. It feels like I reached an important milestone, and seeing that all the hard work has literally started to pay off is reassuring. Fun fact, Nadia actually suggested the idea for my previous video about saving my watch hours before the deadline, and it worked. Along with art friends, a lot of strangers came to my channel just to support another creator, another stranger, simply because they could. The whole experience was surreal, and I'm extremely grateful that I was able to experience such a thing. With monetization, I feel even more responsible for the content that I'll be sharing here, but it's given me peace of mind knowing the channel has reached a level of some kind of sustainability, and I no longer feel the urge to check analytics every minute like I used to. Each video now has the potential to contribute to the channel's growth and support future creative projects, which feels lighter and more motivating overall. Honestly, I believe every YouTuber, no matter how small, deserves to feel this kind of reassurance from the platform. Next question is, what made you want to begin sharing your art with others on social media? Long story short, as an extremely introverted person, I always preferred to stay in the shadows as much as possible, mostly to prevent feeling anxious. As a child, I always had a very low self-esteem, which kept being a huge issue during my adulthood, but on the other hand, I always wanted to push myself forward, help myself become confident, and challenge myself to improve and get better, because that's what life is all about. I've been drawing since childhood on and off, and it was something I was always interested in, but since I had a false belief that I didn't have a talent because I didn't draw perfectly from the start, I thought that it was not worth giving my time to. Before making this channel, I came across this book that completely changed my perception and perspective over art, about art, drawing, creating, becoming an artist. So I started sharing my art on social media because I wanted to draw more consistently and really focus on improving my artistic skills. It was like setting little challenges for myself to keep growing as an artist, and honestly, I'd always dreamed of having a YouTube channel. I loved the idea of creating videos and building a community around art. At first, sharing my art felt cringy, and I was honestly pretty shy about it. There's that awkward feeling of putting your work out there, especially when it doesn't feel good enough. I'd worry about people's reactions, and it took some courage to publish those early videos. But I knew that sharing consistently would help me grow both in skill and confidence. Little by little, I started to feel more comfortable, especially as I connected with supportive viewers. And now sharing my art feels more natural, and I'm way less self-conscious about it. Putting myself out there turned out to be one of the best things I could do, both for my art and for myself. And one more thing, as I started sharing my journey, it became clear that a lot of people felt the same way. Nervous, self-critical, and hesitant to put their work out there. And I realized that by openly sharing my own struggles and growth, I could encourage others to take that leap too. It felt important to show that you don't need to be perfect or feel 100% confident to start sharing your craft. I wanted to be an example of how just taking that first step, even with all the self-doubt, can open doors to improvement and connection with like-minded people. Also, I learned a whole new set of skills along the way. Creating videos has pushed me to pick up skills I never expected, like video editing, planning content, even learning a bit about audio and sound quality. Each of these was a challenge at first, but they have really helped me improve the quality of what I can share with my audience today. Sorry for the long answer. I usually like chunky answers, and I hope you do too. This person asked another question: what are your top 2 mediums and why? My top 2 art mediums are pencils and pens because I feel most comfortable drawing with them. I think this stems from childhood, as I've mostly drawn with these 2 mediums. However, I'm trying to find comfort in using other mediums as well, like gouache and watercolor, and I'd love to be able to use mixed media more freely. This person sent us some love, so let's give some love back. Next question is: what are your favorite art pencils or sticks to work with? I have not had a huge variety of pencils to work with, but so far I'd say I like Faber-Castell colored pencils the most. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but let's decide that for this video it's Faber-Castell. They offer various types, and I particularly enjoy this one at the moment. This set of pencils are affordable and do their job well. For sketching, I use their HB pencil, but one thing that irritates me about pencil drawing is how it tends to smudge or transfer. I need to find something that to keep the drawing in place, maybe a varnish or fixative to help it stay on the paper without blending. When will you go live? That's a pretty tough question to answer because it's complicated. If only you could see me recording this Q&A. Right below me, someone has turned their flat into an English teaching school. So all day long there's shouting, desks and chairs moving, and lots of noise. Above me there's a family with a little kid who runs around until she's tired enough to sleep. On the first floor, a neighbor has a dog who barks non-stop whenever she's alone. And outside there's a pack of stray dogs that bark in unison all the time. Also, there are airplanes, there are trains, there are children playing outside. Can you imagine how hard it is to live in such an environment for a highly sensitive person? And that's me, a highly sensitive person. So I'm usually wearing headphones just to keep my sanity. I believe the noisy background would be unbearable and uncomfortable for viewers, and for me too. I would constantly be aware of it and I would not be able to concentrate. To record audio for my videos, I have to get creative. I usually go into my wardrobe, close the doors, and record very early in the morning, before the 𝐬𝐵𝓕 service in front of my window opens or the kid above me wakes up. So I guess I'll be able to go live as soon as I have a proper, calm space for doing art. Advice for new YouTubers. I could make an entire detailed video about this topic, but let's keep it short for now. My advice for new YouTubers would be to start by making videos you genuinely enjoy creating. Don't worry too much about having the best equipment or a perfect setup. My entire setup has always been just my phone. It's been my camera, my editor, and sometimes my voice recorder, just like right now. Just focus on being authentic and consistent. Consistency might mean posting every month, every week, or twice a week. Decide what consistency means for you and stick to it. Also watch other YouTubers, see what they are doing that works for them, and try to learn from it so that you can implement the knowledge in your work. Don't copy, but if you do copy, don't forget to credit the original source. If you're working in a challenging environment, like I do with lots of background noise, you already know what I do to minimize interruptions, but you can also get creative with your solutions. The number one reason to start a YouTube channel shouldn't be to make money, because you might have to quit soon. So make sure you have the right reasons for starting, try to genuinely respond to every comment you receive on your videos, and show appreciation for your viewers. Never wait to feel motivated, discipline yourself instead. And finally, patience is key. Growth can be slow, so don't get discouraged if results are not immediate. Find ways to enjoy the process of making videos, even if it's only once a month at first, and focus on improving with each upload. Actual improvement will be inevitable if you keep being consistent. So good luck! Favorite surface or paper with each medium? First of all, thank you for your kind wishes. As for my favorite surfaces to draw with each medium, I have a few preferences based on my current experience. For gouache and watercolor painting, the most convenient paper for me right now is this, because it offers the right texture and weight to handle the water and pigments without bleeding too much. However, I want to emphasize that I'm definitely not an expert yet. I still need to try out other kinds of papers to gain more experience and understand what different papers are capable of holding. When it comes to drawing with pencils and pens, I find that pretty much any paper works for me. I enjoy experimenting with different textures and weights, but I'm particularly fond of smooth, heavier paper that allows for fine detail and clean lines. I also have a growing interest in exploring different surfaces beyond traditional paper. For instance, I want to try drawing on glass and fabric using Posca acrylic markers. That's definitely one of my plans for the near future. How did you monetize your YouTube channel? I created this channel in December 2021. And since then, I've been trying to upload videos consistently while experimenting with different topics, gaining experience, building an audience, and connecting with the community as much as possible. I often ask them what they prefer to see more of and so on, but sometimes I will take a couple of months off due to work blocks or life circumstances, which caused engagement and video views to drop drastically. As a result, I had to work a bit harder each time I returned. Recently, I was on the verge of losing some of my watch hours as the year was passing. Since I had collected the eligible amount of watch time, I made a video about this issue, and kind viewers decided to help and give my channel a big push. Thanks to their support, I was able to save my watch hours, and that's pretty much how I got monetized. This wouldn't be possible without the support of each individual who decided to be a part of this amazing community. If you're interested in a deeper dive into the technical aspects, I'm planning to make a video where I'll explain the entire process as soon as I receive my first paycheck, because I'm still figuring things out and I prefer to experience the full process first so I can provide authentic information about it. Okay, next question. What's a subject you are interested in that you have not made art of yet? There are several such subjects I'm really interested in, for example, misty cityscapes or urban scenes. I would love to paint the mix of nature and old architectural buildings. I would also like to experiment with more fantasy-inspired art, like mystical creatures or enchanted forests with flowy trees and plants. It would be fun to create something completely imaginative and explore a different side of my style. I would gladly draw mixed media landscapes. there's so much potential for combining different textures and effects to capture the depth and beauty of natural scenes. Yes, I've thought a lot about it all, but I have not had the chance to dive into it yet because, simply said, I'm afraid. I have not tried any of it yet, partly because they seem like a big project that requires time and planning, partly because I don't think I have enough skills for that yet, and mostly because of fear. What if it doesn't turn out the way I hope? All of these subjects and using mixed media are outside my usual style, so I have no idea how the materials will interact or if I'll be able to achieve the look I envision. But if I never start experimenting, I will never even know. These are definitely ideas I'm hoping to work on as soon as I get past the fear. How often do you create art? I wish I could say I create art regularly, but sadly, it's pretty inconsistent. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, and when those life events are out of my control, it becomes harder to stick to a routine. I really struggle with disciplining myself during those times, and art often takes a backseat as I deal with other priorities or stressors. I still try to make time for art when I can, even if it's just quick sketches. When I want to film a video for my channel, that's a guaranteed time to draw. Should I film more often so I can draw more as well? This is where going live would really help, but that's not possible at the moment. How did you manage to do both YouTube and go and work night shifts? Fortunately, I don't work every night. I work 2 day shifts and 1 night shift once every 5 days. But even with that schedule, it's still really exhausting. I've been doing this for years now, and honestly, even 1 night shift a week is incredibly draining. Before COVID, I worked night shifts in the office, which was tough in its own way, but since transitioning to working from home, things have been a bit more flexible. However, the exhaustion has stayed the same. One of the reasons I'm stuck with my current job is the flexibility of the day shifts. I get half a day free, which is when I usually draw, film, or do other tasks I need to get done. But despite the flexibility, the constant battle against my body's natural rhythm puts a lot of pressure on my physical and mental health. The lack of proper sleep and the constant cycle of adjusting my schedule has made it harder to keep up with everything, including YouTube. I'm actually in the process of looking for a new job because I can't keep going like this. If YouTube ever becomes my full-time job, I'd be the happiest, but that's not something I see coming just yet. For now, I'm focusing on finding something more sustainable, something that's better for my health and my future. So if you can, try your best to avoid working night shifts, not recommended. How old are you? I am 32 years old and still figuring life out. When I was way younger, I used to think that by 30 I would have everything perfectly sorted, a clean path and a sense of certainty, but here I am, still navigating different paths, balancing work with creative passions and trying to find what truly feels right. Being 30 has brought some clarity, like knowing what I don't want or recognizing the things that don't align with my well-being. Life is constantly changing, and sometimes figuring things out means taking it one step at a time, even if that looks different than I expected. So yes, I'm 32, and while I've grown a lot, I'm still on the journey. I feel both young and old in different ways. On the one hand, I still feel young because I'm exploring new things, discovering more about myself, and embracing the fact that life doesn't have to follow a strict timeline. There's still so much I want to learn and experience, which keeps me feeling excited about the future. Overall, I think it's a good balance. I feel old enough to appreciate the lessons I've learned, but young enough to keep looking forward and stay curious about what's next. This question is about what kind of videos I think viewers want to watch on art channels. Based on my experience and what I personally love watching on art channels, I think there's definitely an audience for pure art content that goes beyond tutorials and business advice. For example, art challenges are hugely popular and they are a great way to showcase both creativity and adaptability. They are relatable because viewers get to see how you approach each stage of the challenge, how you work through problems, and how you make quick decisions. Many people watch art channels not just to see finished pieces, but to learn tips that they can apply to their own creative process. Sharing advice on workflow, time management, and efficiency in the art-making process is valuable to artists of all levels. Also, I think people are watching artists experiment with different media and techniques. For instance, you could explore a specific medium like gouache, ink, or colored pencils in depth, or even compare a couple of media in one video. Also, personal artistic stories and reflections are incredibly engaging. But I think the key is to find ways to keep the content relatable, interactive, and inspiring for viewers. Combining your unique style with a mix of these types of content can make for a channel that's both educational and entertaining. It shows that you're not only a skilled artist, but also someone who's reliable, helpful, relatable. I said this word many times already. Open to sharing the ups and downs and everything in between. This question is about what equipment and software I use for filming and about some tips on filming and editing I can share. Okay, get your pen and notebook to write some wisdom down. Just kidding. Tips based on my experience with filming and editing on a budget. Almost my entire filming setup is and has always been a smartphone. I used to use a Google Pixel for a 5G, but I gave it to my mom and upgraded on an iPhone 12, mostly because of more storage space. I think this phone is great for recording art content. I use it for editing as well, since it's more convenient for me than using PC. When I do edit on a PC, it's typically for bigger projects, but the phone still handles most of my editing needs. I use two free apps for editing, 𝓲 and CapCut. Both are free and both have plenty of tools and features to create high-quality videos. 𝓲 is especially nice for quick edits, while CapCut offers more extra effects and transitions if I want to get a bit more creative. But when I edit in phone, I use 𝓲, and on PC I use CapCut. These apps allow me to add text, transitions, and even some basic color grading without a complicated setup. For sound, I have experimented a lot. I actually own two external mics, but for this video I'm using the iPhone's internal mic, and I think it works actually better than my external mics. It's a reminder that sometimes simpler setups can deliver excellent results. You just have to edit your voice recording on a free platform like Audacity and you're good to go. As for the filming tips, first of all, pay attention to lighting, because lighting is key for art videos, especially if you're showing detailed work. I don't have an expensive lighting setup. Mostly I use sunlight, so I usually film near window for natural light, or use this kind of lamp light if I'm filming later in the day, just like I'm filming right now. You also need a tripod to keep the phone camera stable. I bought several tripods and did not like any of them until I discovered this one. I have it in my Amazon storefront in my description box if you're interested, because I assure you this tripod is worth investing. It's flexible, it's stable, it's quite affordable, but if you don't want to get something like this yet, even a little tabletop tripod can make a big difference. A stable setup prevents shakiness and keeps the focus on your work. While filming, try capturing different angles or zoom levels to make the editing more dynamic, switching between a wider shot of your workspace and a close-up on your artwork helps keep viewers engaged. When it comes to editing, be patient because it's going to take a lot of time. With Blur CapCut, it's helpful to organize your clips first and trim down unnecessary parts. Adding in simple cuts and transitions or using speed-up effects for repetitive parts makes the video flow better. Both apps make it easy to add background music and control the volume, which gives your video a more polished feel. At the moment, I use 𝐼𝐸𝐥𝐸 service for background music. It costs some money, but you can get a free month with the link I've provided in the description box of this video. But to be honest, there are plenty of copyright-free music out there to use as a background music for your videos. You don't have to pay, especially when you're a beginner. There are lots of YouTubers who provide free music for creators. You just need to search it up and credit the authors so your videos don't get copyright strike. Ultimately, you don't need expensive equipment or art supplies or music subscriptions to make good videos. Using your phone, free editing apps, and a few thoughtful techniques can go a long way. And don't be afraid to experiment. Sometimes the simplest setups yield the best results. And that's it. I think my first Q&A went pretty well. And also I love how this illustration turned out. Hopefully you got a lot of useful information and tips out of my video. If you think I missed anything, let me know in the comments. And I will see you in one of my videos. Bye!